What's up, Internet? It is officially the end of the first day of Delirium League, and I gotta say, it's been a pretty fun day. Outside of some server issues that everybody had, obviously, it sounded like they were getting DDoSed, and apparently there was like a record-breaking number of people on the servers today, so there was some serious server issues for a while, but they cleared up, and we got ourselves to maps in pretty decent time. I was taking a bit of extra time to do a lot of the Delirium mirrors on the way, and they are definitely cool, and they're definitely a little bit scary. I definitely understand why Neon was saying that they were this was going to be one of the hardest leagues yet, because the health scaling is very noticeable even in the story. It was pretty sketchy sometimes. And nothing seems to be broken so far, right? I haven't encountered any bugs with like the league mechanic or anything like that. Nothing seems too out of order, which is nice for a change. Also, the mechanic seems very rewarding. We got a lot of gear on the way. I had 9 chaos. I've spent 2 at some point buying this 5 link from somebody. I don't remember what act that was. It was in the middle of the campaign somewhere. Act 7 maybe. But we had a lot of resist gear drop. One of the rewards was a pile of like labyrinth gear, which I think was like Act 8. And got kind of lucky there. Could do with better move speed, but that 60% crit strike chance enchant is doing a lot of work right now. Skill tree looks exactly like we kind of planned it out. I did pick up the jewel socket already. So I'm sitting on this skill point. I think tomorrow I might see if I can trade for one of the the lone messenger keystone. They're on the trade site already, but they're a little bit expensive still, in like the 20 to 30 chaos range, and I suspect they're gonna drop fast. They don't seem like they're actually all that rare, which doesn't surprise me, right? Keystones are gonna be kind of niche, and can't expect them to be super expensive because then not many people would bother trying to build for them. But otherwise, a fair amount of currency and stuff came from that mechanic. And we did start finding a bunch of jewels already from the mirror, Delirium events towards the end. I want to say I started finding jewels somewhere in like Act 7 or 8. And we found one medium one, and this one actually seems really good, and I'll show you what it looks like when you... So the outer jewel sockets now look different than the rest of them, right? These basic jewel sockets, they're called now, are like the old square ones, and these ones now have these fancy designs, and you just slap one of these guys in there and it draws the island on there. This looks like actually a pretty good wheel. I was thinking about selling this one on because this is one of the ones I pointed out when the notables were revealed, that this one was going to be pretty high value, and it rolled crit strike chance and chaos resistance in all 3 minors. It's got a jewel socket, and it's got a pretty decent other notable. This is the one I re-rolled a number of times just to see if I would get different types of notables, and I seem to get mostly crit notables. So I don't know if they're like the enchant that says like the small passive skills grant crit strike chance is sort of locked my options into crit notables. I have seen this precise... No, that wasn't this one. It was the Overwhelming Malice crit node. Has appeared on both large and mediums. So that was the first example I found of notable mod groupings that have 2 different cluster sizes they can be on. And you can just pop this guy out and replace them whenever you want. Apparently you only have to unspec, 1 point here if you wind up investing into here. But I'm probably just going to sit on that until I either find a Herald medium, or more likely we'll get into the keystone first and then farm up some more currency and gear and stuff, and then I'll think about picking up a medium that has more Herald nodes. But yeah, the Delirium mechanic was dropping a lot of loot, and I feel like I got here with better than average gear because of it. A lot of decent pieces. I actually just whipped this together because I felt like I'm still kind of low on life, though. I didn't have great luck on a lot of these life rolls. Some of them are okay, but it felt a little bit light to me. In general, though, like the average pieces of gear, as soon as I touched maps, I've done a single map, right? Just after the prologue or epilogue or whatever. I figure we can do one map for the video. We haven't had any deaths yet, but you know, this map may change that. The Delirium mechanic definitely is sketchy at times, but like I mentioned in the build guide update, this build feels like it doesn't have many issues in terms of damage scaling when you're league starting. It feels kind of privileged. In fact, we've absolutely battered the campaign. Katava never got to do anything. He got to come out of a phase and then get hit and die, and then his heart would fall out, and then his heart would go right back in. I think at the end of the campaign I had like 50,000 tooltip DPS per totem, not including Wave of Conviction. So things are pretty smooth, right? We just jump into maps and we're not lacking for anything. I don't see the mirror here though, and I was hoping to find... It's probably back here somewhere, eh? Yeah, there it is. So when you click on this thing, the fog expands rapidly, right? But then it starts moving, and there's a lot of area damage, I find. Some of it's pretty sketchy because you're running around a lot and trying to avoid... Oh, see, I couldn't tell if that was one of the things that was going to spawn monsters or going to spawn bombs. But you see these pods? These will spawn more things. Sometimes they spawn those, like, they're basically volatiles. But otherwise they'll spawn, you know, more mobs, which is kind of what you want. Because it'll fill up this meter down here. And each stack of that meter seems to be tied to, you know, your reward level. I don't know if that also controls... Oh, that's ghosted. Let's not get hit by that. I don't know, as I was saying, if that controls, like, the difficulty, or if it's just the distance you travel towards the exit. I probably won't fight the boss. The health multiplier is pretty real in terms of this mechanic. We have a lot of DPS, but when it comes to, like, affecting a boss, well, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just try it. Like I said, we haven't died yet, but yeah, I see that even the blue mobs are tanking quite a bit of damage. I suspect we'll run out of time before he drops. I've had quite a bit of visibility issues, it feels like, so far. Oh, we did get him. Yay. Some pretty decent loot there. But yeah, that's sort of been my experience with Holy Flame Totems league starting, which feels pretty similar to how it used to be, right? I've always felt like this build was kind of privileged when it came to league start. The amount of damage you wind up getting during the campaign, you know, with no gear and basic stuff, feels really, really generous, I guess. Especially if you remember to do like a wand craft. Oh, hello. If you do a wand craft with the, you know, resistance ring and orb of alteration, which I think this is still one that I crafted back at like, you know, level 30 something, 38. I kept this one around because it rolled prod speed. This was the only one I think I dropped, and the +1 to all fire spells was kind of carrying it. Yeah, if you look here, I think we're doing like, yeah, like 51,000 with all our totems out, and then these are doing 22,000 on top of that. And there's 4 of these and 2 of these. You know, it's about 250,000 tooltip DPS combined on a single target. So things are going pretty smooth, and I'm liking the Delirium mechanic. I do feel like, as you can kind of tell there, it's very hectic, and the amount of area attacks they have kind of caught me off guard. I was expecting to be more of a grind, you know, like they were gonna try and halt my progress more. And while there's like a big fat type enemy you'll run into a bunch, and they have a crap load of health. Most of the other things felt pretty dangerous. They weren't that tanky, but some of those area attacks are really hard to see at times. And some of them seem to be like there's one that's like an ice path, like a line shot, and that is really long. I've had that hit me more than one screen away, and it also seems to pierce geometry. So like if there's stuff where like even like the corner of a wall or something where you'd think it would hit, it'll go right through that. It seems to just have like a fixed distance, and that fixed distance is literally longer than this left to right in a straight line. It's really it'll really catch you off guard, and I think it's meant, you know, they designed it that way to like catch people running away and not paying attention. It's just that the tells, maybe it's partly the fact that the performance feels a little bit questionable at times. Even ignoring the server issues today, I felt like some of this reminded me a little bit of the stuttery feeling of like Betrayal, the patch after it went core, which isn't a great thing. It maybe, you know, I was streaming obviously, so maybe that didn't help, but I noticed a lot of other people were kind of mentioning it too, so hopefully they can clean that up a little bit. I don't know if it's due to the fog or if it's due to the monsters. I feel like it's due to the way the monsters spawn in, and not so much the fog. The fog effects, by the way, were really cool. I really like that. When you drop your totems down, it pushes the fog away from them. It's just really neat looking. But yeah, that's day one. I think we're primed to go into maps. Pretty much full steam ahead. I'm not going to bother with a 6-link for a while. Right now, I just need to focus on shoring up rare gear. We're going to try and improve our wands soon. Damage is going to be our friend, speeding up our white map progression at least. And then working on life and mana totals. And hopefully, you know, if not tomorrow, then soon enough, we can get that keystone and make it worth the fact that we're not running any other auras now. I do have clarity, and I was using clarity all the way up through the story, which is I usually do on this character, and I just sort of over-invest in my mana a little bit so I can run both. Like I was at 1300 mana-ish, so wasn't quite covering my mana pool, but with clarity you're regenerating mana really fast, and you don't really tend to take that kind of spike damage in the campaign, right? So I wasn't as scared of like my mana not being able to protect my life. So I recommend, you know, sticking with clarity right up until at least until you get to maps, and then maybe think about taking it off. Especially if you don't league start with this kind of build. Like if you come in as your second or third character and you just already have like a lone messenger keystone, things like that, I'd probably still run clarity up until maps and then just drop it, switch into your lone messenger setup, and start working on, you know, multiplying your damage sources. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm actually pretty tired. I think the stream was like 11 hours today. Thanks to everybody who came by the stream. It was really cool to see, you know, some people return from Metamorph League and stuff. And definitely thanks to everybody who subscribed and followed and stuff. I'll be streaming at least every day for like the next week or two, and then sometime after that we'll probably go back to my regular stream schedule of like 3 or 4 days a week. But if you want to come by the stream, and or if you need any help, you know, with a gear check or anything, or just want to see how this build is going, I stream at twitch.tv/WallachTV, and I'm gonna go get some much needed sleep, I think. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.